Think on this. Let's talk about the endurance athlete, or more specifically, the ultra endurance athlete. Somebody who's going to be out there for many, many hours, generally greater than 4, up to multiple days. That person is drawn to that activity intrinsically. They want to be out there. They want to be moving at a certain pace for that extended period of time. It's beyond a bucket list thing because they're coming back to it. It's an intrinsic desire. What I need to do with them is make them understand that the extensive approach of more and more volume, longer and longer events, is not the wise approach, right? I need to make them stronger, more powerful, okay? More explosive, fewer repetitions, fewer runs at a sharper level, okay? So we're talking intervals, but we're also talking maximal efforts to build strength, to change you at a structural level. And that's a steep hill. It's maybe not very long, but it's max effort to get up that thing. And you can put out max effort because it's not so long, right? The repetitive aspect to it beats the body down, okay? Deteriorates the body. The shorter, more intensive, explosive nature of interval training, okay, at maximal efforts with proper recovery, man, that changes you structurally, muscle fiber level, skeletal level, okay? And when you're changed at that level, you become better at all things physical. You become a more efficient endurance athlete, right? You become more efficient in those ultras. You not only have another gear, but you have built your body to be stronger, okay? Not just endure more and more of the same, but now it can output, right? And with strength is never a weakness, but there's a difference between strength and muscle size, okay? To become strong, right, and not gain size, you need to lift heavy weights or do extremely challenging to you, again, that's a relative term, efforts. It could be short, flat efforts on the track, could be a steep hill, okay? So you're pushing your body to a new state, giving it proper recovery. The biggest mistakes I see is too little recovery when it comes to these interval workouts, okay? Again, that's because of your mindset. You're kind of wired for this extensive approach, multiple hour efforts. Most of the really fine-tuned athletes who are peaking for an event understand this well, and that there is a periodization to their training, meaning in certain periods of time, they're working on different elements of their physicality, right? And the whole time, you need to be engaged mentally, okay? You need to understand how this applies to your end goal, okay? And most people, there's a progressive nature to fitness, to training, especially endurance racing. Okay, so if I want to do a race, like say it's mid-June, and I've got a race in mid-September, right? That's 3 months, it's 12 weeks. 12 weeks goes by pretty quickly. If I can go into mid-June as a strong physical human being, no injuries, strong lungs, strong heart, but also structurally really strong, okay? Because I did some intensive training, or I built my body through some heavy weightlifting, okay, with some maximal efforts at heavy weight, I am in a good place to start training for that event, right? Now, most of us are not trying to win these events. So we shouldn't mimic the behavior of those people who layer on lots of volume, right? You just don't have the lifestyle to recover from that. Plus, it's probably not the number one A priority in your life, okay? So recognize these things. Recognize that we have an intrinsic nature to us, okay? If you have trouble changing that in yourself, right, you've got to start talking to yourself differently, okay? Talk to yourself as if you are that athlete that can change gears, okay? And then when you train, you need to train like that athlete, right? So it starts with the self-talk. That can be just in your head, or it can be auditory, where you repeat something, a mantra, whatever it may be, that gets you to place yourself in that state of change. Secondly, avoid the extensive. There's a time for that, okay? There's a time for that. And the extensive, or the efficiency of an ultra endurance athlete, starts in the mind. Because if the mind is relaxed, and the body is fit and strong, and you're disciplined enough to hold that pace, that comfortable pace, for as long as possible, so you're not reacting to the external world, okay, which may be other athletes. You're focused on your internal purpose, right? And you're executing your plan. You're going to have a good event, no matter what the distance is, okay? Because you're strong and you've got a good mindset, and you're going to stick to your plan, and you're going to respond to your body's needs along the way during the event, okay? Intensive approach to training is the final thing I want to highlight today. We talked about it, but just don't forget, okay? Build that power, build that strength, train different speeds, proper recovery, okay? This is tough for us to do, and I'm speaking this because I continually have to work on it. It's my nature is to go long, or to hold a pace for as long as possible. There's some benefit to that, but if I don't build my body, if I do not build this new structure, these new taut, strong muscle fibers, even mentally, by executing that process, then I'm not going to get faster. Over time, I'm going to get slower and slower, less efficient at that same energy effort level, okay, as I age. So again, retrain, reprogram your mind, execute your plan. If this is tough for you, hire a coach, okay? Hire somebody who's really fit themselves, who's knowledgeable, ask questions, ask if they mention these terms, or hire me. I'd love to work with you, okay? My approach is different. My approach is specific, it's customized, but it's also grounded in reality, that our lives are dynamic. All stress is stress, no matter what area it comes from. And your training needs to approach that and also be cognizant of those lifestyle factors on this path towards your goal. So think on that. I think it's worth meditating on, or thinking about and processing. Again, work on your mantra. Always think of, who do I want to be? Like, what athlete do I want to be? And I could use a person who's successful, right? Who I could somewhat relate to. Or I can use myself. I can create, like, hey, I'm Jake. I'm an ultra endurance athlete. My strength is X. My weakness is Y. And I need to promote my strength, meaning really build that up mentally. But I also need to work on that weakness, okay, physically and mentally, right? So that way, when that weakness presents itself, I've addressed that, and I can mentally deal with that. I can deal with that, whether it's self-talk in the moment, or it's just like, oh, when this happens, I pump my arms harder, okay? Or I lift my knees a little more, or I focus on my breathing, or I recite that mantra. So get after it, train hard, reach out if you have any questions. Love to work for you. Again, just a quick think on this session.